Curtis Turner. Back in 1961, NASCAR icon Curtis Turner was slapped with a lifetime ban for spearheading a drivers' union attempt. NASCAR's iron-fisted founder Bill France Sr. had warned that any driver joining the union would face permanent exile, and he stuck to that threat. Turner was barred from competition for 4 years until NASCAR, desperate for star power after some driver losses, finally reinstated him in 1965. The rebellious Turner even returned to victory lane at Rockingham shortly after his comeback. His saga was a wild early chapter in NASCAR history: break the boss's rules, get benched, but ultimately a redeemed one when the ban was lifted. Tim Flock. Also in 1961, two-time NASCAR champion Tim Flock received the same harsh punishment for backing Curtis Turner's union efforts. Flock stood with his friend Turner in pushing for drivers' rights, which did not sit well with NASCAR leadership. He was handed an indefinite ban alongside Turner, effectively ending his driving days in NASCAR. Although Flock was quietly reinstated in 1966, he never returned to NASCAR competition as a driver. He paid the ultimate price for taking a stand, a ban that permanently closed the chapter on his NASCAR career. Years later, Flock would be honored in the Hall of Fame, but his on-track days were long over. Tim Richmond. In February 1988, Tim Richmond's comeback bid screeched to a halt when NASCAR suspended him just days before the Daytona 500. Officials claimed the Hollywood-like star failed a drug test, reportedly for banned substances, but it later emerged that Richmond had only taken over-the-counter meds like Sudafed and Advil. Richmond vehemently denied any wrongdoing. NASCAR eventually admitted the test was flawed and quietly reinstated him, but by then the damage was done. The flamboyant Richmond never raced in NASCAR again, sealing his legacy as a superstar whose career was cut short by controversy. Fans were stunned that a driver of his caliber could be benched under such murky circumstances. Hmiel. By early 2006, NASCAR had permanently banned 25-year-old Hmiel, one of the most notorious talent gone wrong cases in the sport. Hmiel had already been suspended twice after failing drug tests in 2003 and 2005 and given second chances. But when he failed a third drug test in 2006, NASCAR threw the book at him with a lifetime ban. He remains one of the few individuals ever banned for life under NASCAR's substance abuse policy. That final strike ended the once promising driver's NASCAR career on the spot. Hmiel later sought redemption racing in other leagues, but his NASCAR chapter was closed for good as a result of that failed test. Kevin Grubb. In March 2004, 24-year-old Busch Series driver Kevin Grubb failed a NASCAR drug test and was promptly suspended indefinitely. After sitting out over 2 years, Grubb was reinstated in 2006 on the condition of passing random drug tests. That second chance didn't last long. In September 2006, after a crash at Richmond, officials asked Grubb to take another test, and he refused. NASCAR slapped him with a second indefinite suspension, and this time it stuck. Grubb never raced in NASCAR again after that day, his promising career cut short by off-track troubles. Sadly, he died a few years later, but he was still under suspension at the time. Tyler Walker. A talented ex-dirt track star, Tyler Walker saw his NASCAR hopes crumble due to repeated drug issues. In May 2007, while driving in the Truck Series, Walker failed a drug test, and NASCAR suspended him indefinitely. He completed rehab and earned reinstatement, but trouble wasn't done. Walker was suspended again after another substance violation, and in January 2013, he led police on a wild multi-state car chase before being arrested with drugs in his car. That debacle ended any chance of a NASCAR comeback. Walker's story became one of squandered potential. He went from a rising prospect to permanently banned from the sport, all by his own doing. Fike. In July 2007, rising Truck Series star Fike was busted for heroin possession in the most surreal of places, an amusement park parking lot. Police found heroin and syringes in Fike's truck, and NASCAR immediately suspended him indefinitely as the news broke. The arrest shocked many, especially since Fike later admitted he had even used heroin on race days. NASCAR and his team axed him on the spot. After completing rehab, Fike was reinstated in 2012, but he never raced in NASCAR again. His downfall, from Rookie of the Year contender to banned for drug abuse, became a sobering example of personal demons ruining a career. Jeremy Mayfield. In May 2009, veteran driver Jeremy Mayfield became the center of a high-profile NASCAR scandal when he was suspended indefinitely for failing a drug test. NASCAR said Mayfield's sample tested positive for methamphetamine, a claim he adamantly denied. He insisted it was a mix of prescription Adderall and allergy medicine, but the damage was done. Mayfield was immediately barred from competition and embarked on a messy legal battle against NASCAR's ruling. In the end, NASCAR's ban held firm. Mayfield remains effectively banned for life from the sport. A perennial contender just a few years prior, his NASCAR career ended virtually overnight amid the controversy. Carl Long. May 2009 brought one of the most expensive mistakes in NASCAR history. Underdog driver Carl Long showed up at the All-Star Open with an engine that measured 0.17 cubic inches over the legal size. When that oversized engine was discovered, NASCAR dropped the hammer. A record $200,000 fine and a 12-race suspension. Unable to pay such an enormous fine, Long was essentially banned from the Cup Series indefinitely as his penalty remained unpaid. He continued racing in lower series, but it took 8 years before NASCAR finally lifted his Cup ban in 2017. Long's saga highlighted how a relatively minor infraction nearly ended a career due to hefty penalties. Randy LaJoie. Even a former champion wasn't immune to NASCAR's drug rules. In June 2010, two-time Xfinity Series champ Randy LaJoie was suspended indefinitely after testing positive for marijuana. LaJoie, long retired from full-time driving and working as a team crew member, admitted he smoked pot after the Coca-Cola 600 and took full responsibility for his actions. NASCAR benched him immediately for the violation. To his credit, LaJoie completed the required rehab program and was reinstated just 2 months later in August 2010. The swift comeback allowed him to resume his off-track roles, but the incident proved NASCAR's drug policy spared no one, not even fan-favorite veterans, Sieg. In 2011, NASCAR indefinitely suspended Truck Series driver Sieg after he failed a random drug test. At just 28 years old, Sieg saw his promising stock car career derailed in an instant. He never made it back to NASCAR competition following the suspension. Details of the substance were never publicized, and the ban was never lifted, effectively ending his NASCAR ambitions for good. Sieg faded from the racing scene entirely in the years afterward. His case was a quieter story compared to others, but it underscored that NASCAR would not hesitate to park a driver for a failed drug test, no matter their potential. Ronnie Hults. Little-known racer Ronnie Hults ran afoul of NASCAR's substance abuse policy in 2011. Hults, a part-timer in the K&N Pro Series West, tested positive for an illegal substance and was swiftly suspended indefinitely. He protested that he had a medical prescription for marijuana, but NASCAR officials didn't budge. The indefinite suspension stood, and Hults has not been allowed back into NASCAR competition since. For over a decade now, he's remained sidelined, his racing aspirations effectively ended. Hults' case underscores that, prescription or not, NASCAR's rules are the rules, and a violation can slam the door on your career if you're not careful. Allmendinger. Midway through the 2012 season, NASCAR Cup driver Allmendinger failed a random drug screening, stunning the garage area. In July 2012, just hours before a major race, NASCAR pulled Allmendinger from his Penske ride and suspended him indefinitely under the substance abuse policy. The shocked driver entered NASCAR's Road to Recovery program and maintained that an unintentional stimulant, later revealed as Adderall, was to blame. By October 2012, Allmendinger had successfully completed rehab and NASCAR reinstated him. He returned to Cup competition and eventually rebuilt his reputation. But that sudden summer suspension, yanking a winner out of his car, was a loud and clear message that no one is above the rules. Derek White. In April 2016, Canadian driver Derek White landed in hot water far from the track. White was implicated as a key player in a major cross-border tobacco smuggling ring and even turned himself in to authorities. NASCAR responded by indefinitely suspending White from all competition as soon as the charges came to light. It was a rare case of a NASCAR driver being banned for non-racing criminal activity. White had dabbled in the Xfinity and Cup Series, but this off-track crime slammed the door on those pursuits. He never returned to NASCAR after the bust, and his racing career effectively ended amid the smuggling scandal. Kyle Larson. April 2020 brought one of the most shocking NASCAR suspensions of the modern era. During an online iRacing event amid the pandemic shutdown, star driver Kyle Larson uttered a racial slur over the live broadcast. The backlash was swift. Within a day, Larson's team fired him, and NASCAR suspended him indefinitely for the offensive remark. Larson immediately apologized and entered sensitivity training. After completing the required program, he was reinstated by NASCAR later that year. Larson's fall from grace and eventual road to redemption highlighted NASCAR's zero-tolerance stance. He returned in 2021 with a new team and quickly reminded the world of his talent. Still, the incident remains a stark lesson that even a top-tier star wasn't above the sport's code of conduct. Cody Ware. In April 2023, Cup Series driver Cody Ware was arrested on assault charges in a domestic violence case, stunning the NASCAR community. The allegations were serious felonies, and NASCAR acted swiftly. Ware was suspended indefinitely, effective immediately pending the outcome. This incident cast a dark cloud, but it also showed NASCAR once again taking swift action when faced with serious off-track behavior. Noah Gragson. In August 2023, Rookie Cup driver Noah Gragson earned an indefinite suspension for a misstep on social media. Gragson was found to have liked an insensitive meme making light of the death of George Floyd, which sparked immediate outrage. Legacy Motor Club, his team, and NASCAR swiftly pulled Gragson from the car and suspended him for his online action. The 25-year-old apologized and underwent diversity and inclusion training during the ban. About a month later, NASCAR reinstated Gragson on September 12, 2023, upon his completion of the program. However, he had already parted ways with his team, leaving his NASCAR future up in the air despite the lifting of the suspension. The episode was a clear reminder that in today's NASCAR, what you do off the track can sideline you just as fast as anything on it.